to God, it's fucking on. Look at him, dude. It's so fucking on.
I know it's on.
Give it up for Mike. Dude, it's fucking on, dude.
Okay, it's on, dude.
It's on. To you.
I'm sorry.
So today I'm going to be talking about a movie that's actually in my personal top 10, and that movie is the 1996 comedy classic known as Swingers. It was released in October of 1996, featuring Vince Vaughn, Jon Faverau, Ron Livingston, Patrick Van Horn, and of course, honorable mention to the lovely Heather Graham. Despite the god-awful fashion in this movie, I really do feel like Swingers has aged very well, especially with the comedy and like the non-convoluted story of, four guys, moving to LA, trying to make it as an actor, one of them trying to be a stand-up comedian. Which I have to say, I kind of do wish, well, not even kind of, I do wish they would have had something of Jon Faverau's character doing stand-up comedy, like whether him hosting, because he says he hosts an open mic, so whether it be him hosting or even bombing on stage, because one thing's for sure is that he bombs a lot in the hitting on ladies department.
Mike?
Nikki, great. Did you just walk in, or were you listening all along?
Don't ever call me again.
All right. Hey, Mikey, you should call that girl Nikki. It's been 2 days. See if she wants to meet you there.
Starting off with the overall mise-en-scene of the movie, everything was filmed on location in Los Angeles and Hollywood, California. And in fact, actually, the apartment that is featured in it, where, Jon Faverau's character Mikey walks around in the beginning and, towards the middle and end, that was actually the apartment he was living in at the time. And what's crazy is that living below him was the very young, at the time, Adam Scott, who was also an up-and-coming actor. The movie itself actually mirrors the real-life relationship of Vince Vaughn and Jon Faverau, because in real life they're actually good friends. And they were also actually true friends with Ron Livingston as well. Some of the themes in Swingers can definitely be described as debauchery, libidinous, friendship, love, loss, courage, and also even a brief moment of gambling. Moving on to flamethrowing outfit category, I think the only person I can think of in this movie with a cool outfit or any sense of fashion would probably be, I'd have to say Nikki, the girl that Jon Faverau tries to hit on in the bar that ends up calling way too many times. Because to me, I don't know, just judging from just that couple of minutes that it shows her on screen, her look to me seems also kind of a mix of classical but also just sort of timeless at the same time, so sort of like the movie. But I don't know, Mikey and his friends, they just all look like fucking bags of Doritos or something with their horrible shirts. Especially Mikey, he looks like he's wearing the I go bowling / I never want to get laid shirt. And Mikey, by the way, he looks like a fucking circus peanut. I don't know, he just looks so weird. And then you have Patrick Van Horn, he kind of looks like a fucking bowling pin, like a bowling pin demon. Ron Livingston looks like the dictionary definition of a human being. I'm a live male specimen. Now, even though this movie has several great scenes in it, one of my favorites is definitely the part where you get introduced to Patrick Van Horn's character when it shows him playing NHL 93 on Sega Genesis in his apartment, because to me, that just seems to glorify the overall vigorous aspect of youth and being single, playing video games with your friends and drinking alcohol before going to a party or a bar.
I'm gonna make Wayne Gretzky's head bleed for super fan number 99 over here. Yes, it's great stuff. You want to play great stuff? Come on, I don't want to put the instant replay in the fucking game.
And what I love even more is that when you look in the background, you can see a movie poster of both Taxi Driver, and then there's also Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, nice. What time is the party tonight? Starts at 8.
Everybody get there around 10.
It's more 11. Midnight.
This movie actually pays homage to both Reservoir Dogs and Goodfellas, actually, because there's a part towards the middle where, they're all sitting around having a couple of drinks before they go to a party, and they're talking about, or they're debating, does Quentin Tarantino, steal from Scorsese, or does he pay homage? Mix of both, perhaps. But in my opinion, I'm sure he was inspired, but it's like Ron Livingston's character says, it's like that's movies. Everyone steals from everybody. So then it goes to a shot of them walking in the alleyway. So it does the slow motion shot, which so they're borrowing from, to reference Reservoir Dogs. When they go into one of the famous nightclubs in LA, I think it's called the Dresden Room. Which, by the way, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, like everything was shot on location here. So all the people that you see in the background, they were just unpaid extras. They even had signs where it's like, hey, if you get too close, you're going to be an unpaid extra. So I thought that was pretty cool. Swingers has such a good raw element to it. But I just love that when they get to the Dresden Room, it does like that long following shot, like steady cam shot of them like walking through the like back of the kitchen. Aside from the video game scene, one of my other favorite scenes in the movie is towards the end when Ron Livingston shows up at Jon Faverau's apartment. And, which brings me to my least favorite character in the movie. For most part, it had to be Mikey. He's just such a Debbie Downer. He's surrounded by these like great friends. He's like trying to pursue his dream of being an actor and a stand-up comedian. Not a lot of people get those opportunities in life to do that, but he does, and he's still being a mopey, whiny little bitch. It's like, dude, lighten up and stop wearing bowling shirts when you go out. And hey, maybe don't call people a million times in a row. But I guess at the end of the day it worked out, because then he ends up with Heather Graham towards the end, spoiler alert. But it's not like this movie's been out for 25 years or anything. But getting back to what I was going to say, I do love it when Ron Livingston shows up at his apartment and he tells him, he's like, you know what? He's like, you don't look at the things you have. You only look at the things you don't have. Those guys are right about you. Your money. And then, he goes on like this big rant, and then like he just kind of like catches himself before he gets too cheesy. Speaking of getting cheesy, like I honestly do love the part where Mikey like tells him right after that, he's just like, how long did it take you to get over this? Because Mikey's like, he just got done with a 6-year relationship, so he's having a hard time recovering. And then what Ron Livingston says is just so, at least in my opinion, it's like simple, but it's also a little bit profound as well. Like, I just love it. He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, you wake up every day and it hurts a little bit less, and then you wake up one day and it doesn't hurt at all. And it's just weird too, because when you wake up that day and it doesn't hurt anymore, it's like you don't even think about it anymore. It's like you just kind of forget, and then you just move on and you evolve. And that's what's great about this movie. It shows him that he was gonna try and go back to the East Coast where he moved from, and like he was gonna just be stuck. And like it's like, don't stick with comfort, move on. That's like another strong theme in this movie, is moving on from your past life. When I recently rewatched this, I couldn't help but notice that it's just crazy, because this movie was made, pretty much pre-cell phone in a lot of ways. I mean, like, people had cell phones back in the mid-90s, but I mean, they were pieces of shit and they never worked half the time. So it's just great to see all these scenes of all these people out and about, and like everyone's so engaged in what's happening. They're engaged with the live music. You have what is it, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy? Yeah, because the mid-90s there was a big swing revival, and I love how Swingers just accentuates that so much with the god-awful fashion. And I don't want to say god-awful music, because some of the, swing revival music's not too bad. I mean, at least the hits anyways, like Cherry Poppin' Daddy's Zoot Suit Riot. I love that song. And even Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, the You and Me and the Bottle Makes Three, that's a fucking great song. I love that song. Moving on to the trivia part of the review, the famous "You're So Money" line. It was actually borrowed from a Nike commercial that I believe Spike Lee directed it, and it was a Michael Jordan Nike commercial. So I was actually surprised to find that out. Like, I wonder if maybe they got sued. I mean, they probably didn't. I guess I would have probably seen something about it, but who knows? And then the whole scene in the bar where Vince Vaughn and Patrick Van Horn are like, "You're like a bear, man, with these big fucking teeth. We're secretly doing cocaine when we're not on camera, man." Which I swear to God, like, Vince Vaughn's character in the movie, he had to have been a cokehead, because the part where they're at that diner and he's getting all aggro and jumping on the table and he just, like, gives the guy his food. I mean, like, I get it. Like, he's supposed to be drunk, and they're fictional characters. But still, this fictional character, this is just my fan theory, I think Trent was a cokehead. And probably a trust fund bunny, because it's like, if you think about it, like, how the fuck can they afford to go out almost every night and, like, just, like, I don't know, they don't even work either. I mean, like, Mikey, from what I gather with his character, is like he saved up for, like, a couple years and then moved out there, and same with his friend Rob. But I don't know, Trent strikes me as a trust fund bunny, or like part of the girlfriend credit card union maybe. The 1964 convertible Mercury Comet Caliente car that Vince Vaughn's character drives in the movie was actually owned by Jon Faverau. That was his actual car. And when they get to the casino, when they get to the $100 minimum blackjack table, the old guy that's on like a streak 9, I believe they say, that's actually Vince Vaughn's father. And I know what you're thinking with all these trivia facts. With all of this information, you can now sleep at night. I just think it's funny that, like, when they go to the casino, like, he's like, I'm only betting with 100, and it's like, this was like, I don't know, it's like that like, people are gonna care what I'm doing notion of, like, it's like, no, you gotta go to the $100 bet table. Mikey, if you don't look like you know what you're doing. And then, like, he just ends up putting all the money down, and it's like, I don't know, it's just ridiculous. Like, as if someone, like, what does he think is going to happen if he lays, like, all his money down? Like, some, like, supermodel's going to walk by and be like, oh, you just bet $300? Time for a blowjob! Going back to what I was saying about the vigorous aspect of youth in this movie, it's just funny because it's like the more people that are at a bar, it seems like the more willing they are to go there, you know, with, like, the party and, like, the bar. And even though they leave, but, you know, as you get older, at least for me, like, not that I'm super old, you know, I'll be 34 in October, but... like, for me, the more empty a bar is, like, but, like, if it's, like, on the, a little bit on the empty side, but if there's, like, some novelty to it as well, like, for me, I like a good bar, like a good dive bar with, like, just a few people and, like, some pool tables, jukebox, you know, because call me crazy, but when I'm drinking, I actually have to have something to do that's actually fun. I mean, otherwise it's like, oh, let's go to this place that's crowded. Oh, great. We can't find a place to sit, but if someone sees me here, I'll be famous! Oh, great! A bar? They don't serve food here? There's no karaoke? No pool? Yes! There's nothing to do here! Fuck yeah, dude! I love being at a bar that's filled with a bunch of people that don't give a fuck about me and I don't give a fuck about them. Yes! Cuckoo! Cuckoo! But yeah, like I said, you know, a supermodel might walk by and see you in that cool bar filled with a bunch of people, and then you might get laid. But in all honesty, if you haven't seen Swingers yet and you're looking for a good, fun, feel-good comedy, I couldn't possibly recommend this movie enough. I mean, it's amazing. It's a great, fun movie to watch. Alright, until next time, hit the like and subscribe button. And next month, Jessica will be back, and her and I will be reviewing the very funny Meet the Parents, directed by Jay Roach and starring Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro.